Are we going to go to the random draw, or are you going to call someone else?
I'll pick.
Picking, okay. We'll get up the list of players for you in case you need a little helping hand. The only player not available for you to pick there is in gold, Carl Sutton. He's in the safe seat. Everyone in grey is already gone. Those in white are available for you. There's a couple who've been giving you a bit of stick in the gap there, but what are you fancying?
I'm going to call out the young superstar, Jaden.
Jaden Billingham, down you come, mate.
One of the few, probably the only non-pro still remaining. I mean, he is a well-known up-and-coming player, though, and like people are talking about him in pretty glowing terms about being the next big thing. So you do it at your own peril, I guess. He could turn out and put a big performance in.
Yeah, I mean, there are people, I know that are talking him up like he's. They're almost saying he's guaranteed to be a future world champion, and he's going to be the star of the future. And absolutely agree that he's got every opportunity. But I hope they don't put people around him don't put too much pressure on him, and he can stay just in his own space and just enjoy the game and see where he ends up. But yeah, I mean, a young man with a huge future in the game. He's got all the assets.
Yeah, I mean, the fact he's qualified for this already, having a great run already on the Challenger event. I mean, young players tend to be more fearless, so coming into this, he's probably not going to be scared of the occasion, but I guess Ian is correctly calculating that he doesn't have the same match play experience, so
yeah,
I think
the biggest challenge is really just, and I spoke very briefly to Tom Jones after he lost. I said to him, you missed a few that you just don't expect. You didn't look your normal self there. He said he just felt really cold, really awkward. He just felt as uncomfortable as he has done in this environment. And I think that's probably the challenge here for Jaden. It normally, would be living on the table, and he's had to hang around all day, mixing it with all the top players, and now he's got to go out there and try and find his game, and he's up against a player that's playing incredibly well.
Yeah, Ian Alley is another one we haven't really talked about today, but big performance against Ward there. He's very capable. Again, I think it's somebody that'll love this format, plays a sort of quick attacking game. Looks like a guy that probably sort of warms up quite quickly as well. He's sort of got a scrappy game about him, feels like he can mix it in any situation.
Yeah, and very quickly out the blocks here. That was excellent from Ian. Yeah, from Ian's perspective, though, it's all there in front of you, isn't it? Win your next two matches and you can disappear out the venue.
We've seen 3 players lose their third match today. Chris Melling, Jack Whelan, and now Craig Waddingham. It does show that pressure. I mean, all of them have got quite good players. I think all of them were probably just hoping for a sort of easy final draw, and it didn't really materialise for any of them in the end.
Yeah, I agree. None of them have been blessed with, getting one of the lower ranked or one of the qualifiers, but established players, as we see Jaden first touch at the table, and it's not a good one.
No, that's not a good sign, is it? Because we've seen how well Ian's playing. This is a short match. If he doesn't get straight on his A game, this is going to be tricky for him. I mean, it's such a tough brief, though. It doesn't really matter who you are. You can be the best player in the world. Coming out cold when your opponent's already been out on the table for a while, and then only a best of 7 to do anything about it.
Bottom corner obviously is the problem, but maybe he feels there's a way to open them up, or maybe there's even the plant through the gap. It doesn't look like it. The overhead camera doesn't look like it's a chance at all, but maybe he feels there's a way.
Ian Alley's made a name for himself over the years, playing a lot of big money games, which is a pretty pressured form of the game. He's somebody that doesn't really seem to struggle with nerves. He's happy to mix it. Awkward spot here for Jaden. He's near one of his most difficult balls, but he doesn't desperately want to open it up right now. He's got other problems on the table.
Not the sort of chance you'd imagine he wants in terms of, I think he'd rather just have a wide open, almost, chance for chance against Ian here, rather than get too embroiled in the tactical exchanges.
He's done the right thing, or at least he's done the right thing in terms of not going for something too adventurous. I mean, it's tricky with the position of that yellow that's just stuck in amongst the reds at the bottom. Ian's going to try and promote the balls.
Yeah, that's not really worked out that well for Ian. I feel like there's still some huge hope in this frame. Ian's in front for me, but he's not. It's marginal call.
May not be the worst thing for Jaden to have a few safety shots here, just to get himself used to being out there, play a bit.
He's going. Yeah, the problem with that is you're just leaving Ian right where he wants to be. It was opening up Ian's chance to win the frame. And even if Jaden makes that yellow in the centre, you know, how's he going to deal with the 8 ball? You know, where's the 8 ball coming from? It was going to be really tough.
Probably felt that he hadn't got much choice, but I agree with you.
I still think if he'd just put the cue ball, played the yellow on the right hand side and put the cue ball anywhere near the top right hand corner of the table, he had huge chance in the frame still. He was asking Ian to make something happen.
That's something that comes with experience. Sometimes you're actually happy for your opponent to have a chance because it's a difficult one. It's when the percentages are at their best from your perspective. Just going to play this one shot. I'm just going to retrieve the red at the top of the table. It's not a difficult shot, but it was just isolated a bit from the others. Landed nicely on it. It's the nature of this format. The player appears that you haven't seen all day, but I guess it's easy to be sort of flattered by the way they're playing. But Ian looks to be playing very well here. You've got to have him as a potential tournament winner based on the way he's going at the moment.
I agree. I put him right in that bracket, that he's one of the, in that kind of just below the guys that have been winning the tournaments with ultimate pool, but has the game to win.
Yeah, I mean, it seems Ian did what you'd say was rationally the sensible choice in his last one. He's not, I think actually Ian is definitely in that category of players that wouldn't be afraid of any of the hitmen. He'd kind of fancy the job, but he's probably going to ask himself whether he needs that problem when there are easier draws out there.
Yeah, it's one of those, isn't it? Of course, you go the random draw, you could get a really good draw, you could get a really poor draw. I mean, you could draw someone like a John McAllister, who is playing as well as anybody in the game right now, but there's no bounty on his head. But you could equally get one of the qualifiers. So I can kind of make the case both ways, and especially today, especially right now for Ian, you know, it's win one. Well, if he wins this match, it'd be win one more match, and then you're you know, safely through to tomorrow, and you're safely into the money. So, but we can't get too carried away here, because this is a really good chance for Jaden, and I always think the second and third frames are kind of almost more pivotal than the first one, really, at times in these races to 4. If he loses this frame, you feel like it's a long way back, but if he wins it, he's right in the mix.
Yeah, I agree. It's a big frame, isn't it? 2-1 or 3-0. It's also a big frame, just in that he hasn't really shown what he can do yet. We know how good a player he is, and we've heard of his reputation, even if we haven't seen a ton of him. But he's going to want to prove that he can do it out there in this main arena. He looks a bit more settled now. He played a couple of edgy shots early on, but seems to have just slowed down. Just looks a bit more in control of himself. Most young players generally start out being quite attacking, so you assume he's probably going to prefer to get into a bit more of an open game.
I think he's left himself too straight here. He's got a problem all of a sudden. Does he have the angle to do anything? Can he top through into the yellow? Knock the yellow to the side cushions, down the red to the centre pocket. He looks plumb straight, but you can really pick the pocket here. No, he was too straight, so he's just had to drop it in to take the red top right. Slightly off angle as well. He's going left-hand side of the table, so he's going to have to top through for right centre.
Right now you feel he just needs an easy open position, whereas what he's being faced with is a kind of tricky, delicate one. He has this shot though.
I think he thought it was in when he hit it. I thought it was in.
Yeah, it's a tricky shot played at that pace, but yeah, when it came off the cue ball, it looked to be a good line. Ian does have the look of the elder statesman here, just sort of knows what's coming, is expecting to get another chance at the table, and just looks very comfortable as he comes back to take it. don't think anyone can really be disappointed to get called out at this stage, because they have been sat around all day. Ian didn't really look that perturbed when he was called out. It sort of looked like he was ready, fancied getting out there for a game.
I would imagine that Jaden's been expecting it all day. I think all the qualifiers will have come in and thought, well, they're going to stay away from the top boys, and therefore I'm more likely. So I think maybe a little bit later than Jaden was expecting.
Yeah, we've only got one lower ranked player left, which is Christy Caulfield. Lower ranked in the sense that he's a new pro. We've got quite a few other people that came through the qualifying competition, but there's some big names. I mean, Josh Kane, Liam White, John McAllister, people like that. They were qualifiers in the sense they didn't get automatic places, but they're not exactly amateur qualifiers. They are themselves top pros already.
Yeah, John McAllister's won 2 titles this year. I mean, he's right up there and arguably player of the year right now with Tom Cousins.
Yeah, it's the biggest improvement in ranking. He was ranked 38 last season. He's up to 5 already this year.
Well, that miss from Ian has really given hope here to Jaden. Not easy, because he blocked off the top right-hand corner pocket, but to get back to the table, he'll be thrilled. Oh, and he could get to the right-hand side of that red. That's beautiful.
That was just the right moment for him as well, because if he can win this frame and get it back to 2-1, you really do feel this is anyone's game. If he went 3-0, you sort of almost feel like you're playing for a consolation at that point.
Well, a little bit short. Might have to go long here. Depends what the natural line is if he cuts it in. And it looks all right.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty well controlled shot. That wasn't quite as easy as it looked. Well, that's important for him, and obviously nice to see. He gets his first frame on the board. Yeah, I mean, sometimes these junior players are kind of harder to interview because they're not so used to the limelight and don't want to share their thoughts quite so much. You can definitely go 2 ways, whether you're super confident or whether you're a bit scared your first time out there.
Yeah, it's also one of those that if he came in here and you said, oh, what do you think? You go, and he said, yeah, I think I can win the tournament. You'd get criticised for being cocky and overconfident. But if you came here and said, no, I don't think I could win this tournament, but I'm going to give it a good go, he'd get criticised for not believing in himself. So it's probably one of those you keep your mouth shut and move on.
Yeah, for sure. It's very difficult with sports when people have different views. Some are more modest, some are modest for the purposes of interviews, understandably.
Yeah, if I look back at my playing career, I'd have told people I believed I could win the tournament. I absolutely didn't. I think that's the reason why I'm sat here.
Wow, you sometimes got to be realistic. I mean, so sometimes it's people that...
I was that, yeah.
Well, as in, got to be realistic to understand what you're aiming to do on any given day. I guess you have to take it in sort of steps up.
Really important visit for Ian Ali, just to re-establish that 2-frame advantage. Not let one mistake define the match. Beautiful positional shot to land. I wouldn't say absolutely ball in hand perfect. Maybe an extra turn to the right, just so he can get the cue ball out without forcing it, because he won't want to leave too much angle on this last yellow. Which he's had to do. Now needs to execute a really good shot. Cued that really well.
Yeah, that was a very well hit shot. Didn't really look much, but to force the angle that he did, he looks in very good touch.
Worry about that when you get there. Oh, we might get there quickly here with a in-off from Jaden.
Yeah, it was a big break as well. He got a lot of power into it. Yeah, sometimes the way you try and put a bit more power in when you're behind in a match to try and make something happen, and then you lose control. these are set pretty well, really, for Ian.
Yeah, nothing in the way to stop him from getting to the winning line right now. That's okay.
In these short races, you do want to get to the winning line when you get the chance, because you're never certain of getting another chance. We've seen some matches turn around already. Played that nicely. The only thing that could have gone wrong there was getting stuck behind the yellow, but forced the white through. Just this simple 8 ball to complete what's been a fairly routine victory, you'd have to say, for Ian. Jaden had that one moment where he took the frame. Definitely shown some moments of promise, but just wasn't showing quite the consistency that was needed to beat a player of Ian's calibre.
But there's not much say-so from yourself here, Ian. You've got some kind of choice, as it's your potential third game. You can either go to the random draw, or you can call out one of the ultimate pool last man standing hitmen. What would you like to do?
Is Christy a hitman?
He isn't, sadly. I can confirm Christy Caulfield is not a hitman. Maybe tomorrow at some point, but sadly you can't have him.
Random draw.
Random draw. You never know. You never know. It might be here. Okay. So we go to the random draw. I think it's fair to say we all know who Ian Alley would like to play, but it goes down to the computer. So computer, let's see who the fave's opponent will be as he looks to go 3 in a row. Luke Gilbert! In he comes.